know what?
Don't laugh. It's not
Sorry,
fun.
I'm sorry. Hi, welcome to the 09 Chatline. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Julia.
And we have finally started a podcast.
I can't believe we're actually doing this. What on earth?
We have been quaking with fear about doing this.
So realistically, this is something that's been on particularly Charlotte's radar for a long time.
Yeah.
But really, it only came into the realm of happening about last week. So we've been having a whirlwind week trying to plan what we can talk about, and here we are with episode 1.
Yes, so the naming process of this took us longer than expected. We started miles from what we've landed on, and what we have landed on is the 09 Chatline.
Woo! We are both Virgos. We're both born in September. I am the 4th of September and Charlotte is the 3rd. So we have been best friends for
Day one,
since
literally.
birth. Literally since day one. Born in the same hostel, same city, and we've basically grown up together. So the 09 is our side, September. And then the chat line is basically a space where we want you to feel like you are on a call, on a phone, a FaceTime to your best friend, where you can chat about anything, nothing is off the cards.
I feel like we are constantly saying to each other, what would we do if I couldn't phone you?
Yeah.
Like, who would I phone if I couldn't phone you? And sometimes you just needed advice from a real one.
A real one.
And here you are. So,
yeah, for anyone that feels like maybe they can't get the advice that they're looking for, a lot of the time we feel like the podcasts we listen to are a bit black and white when it comes to advice.
what I will say is that, especially TikTok, and we're not going to claim to be advice podcasters, but on TikTok, there is honestly terrible advice for young people.
Absolutely.
And it actually pains us to listen to, because I think, well, we could say something better than that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for young people that are in those years where, I mean, everyone seems so much older now than we were back then, but I know when I was 16, 17, like, everything, I mean, the decisions I made then I would never make now, but everything seems so complicated, and sometimes you do just need someone to talk to about it. And yeah, it would be to go to TikTok and see what advice people would give you, and a lot of the time that advice is not sound in the slightest, well, in our opinion.
Yeah.
So that's what the 09 Chatline is all about.
Yeah. I think especially when you go through different experiences, that sometimes, say like a breakup, a loss, I think a lot of advice out there is quite generic, and a lot of the time it's not so much not what you want to hear, but it's not what you need to hear.
And a lot of the time it's not that simple.
Yes.
So we are hoping to give our perspective from the experience we've had, to add another dynamic to the podcast.
But not professionals on anything, not qualified to...
Absolutely. No, you're qualified on child development.
Yes, but that's not really
For this
applicable.
isn't a child development podcast.
That's probably actually a good
way to start.
Yes, so I am a graduate. I graduated in April, will we say, of 2020, pandemic graduate. I did child development, well, actually no. I did childhood studies.
For actually applied there.
At University of West of Scotland, but a lot of the time when I say I did childhood studies, people are like, what's that? And essentially, to encapsulate, it's child development.
Okay.
And I am currently still in retail.
Brilliant.
I never ended up going down the route that I graduated in, and that's okay. I'm sure we'll end up talking about
get
that.
on to that.
Yeah.
And I am still a student, 23, still a student, doing an undergrad in business in Glasgow. And I also currently work in marketing for a jewellers. So a diverse range.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll definitely get onto that, as you say, talking about going to uni and where you are and what you want to do with your life is I talk your head off about that
Yeah.
every single day. So we'll definitely dedicate an episode to that. But this one is basically just an introduction to us and a little bit about our attitude to starting, shall we say.
So that is probably a good way to lead us on to why we've never done this before. And why it's more so been a bit of a dream or a thought of like, I wish I could do that, as opposed to actually doing it. And I think a lot of people will probably agree with the sort of Scottish mentality. I don't know if you want to call it Scottish mentality or small town mentality of anything which is remotely not
The norm.
the norm is
The
embarrassing.
mainstream. Yeah. That can be music taste, fashion sense, hobbies, like your interest in general, particularly where we've grown up. And if you're from Glasgow, you probably understand this. Anything out with what everyone else is doing is immediately ridiculed.
Yes.
And it really makes you grow up with quite a cynical mindset about what other people are doing. And it's really bad. I know that we're all guilty of it.
I'm definitely guilty of it, and I hate it because and I will be 100% honest on this. If someone that I know started a podcast, my first initial reaction would be, oh my god, they've really put themselves out there. But I would, and I'm not gonna lie, I would be jealous.
Yeah, exactly. So why is the first initial to judge them? Because that is just how it's bred, essentially, here.
Of course.
That is the attitude of everyone that surrounds us. So I imagine some of the listeners, you well know who we are.
Yes.
Which, again, it makes me feel embarrassed to think about, but, you know, everyone needs advice, so
And as well, like,
join us for the ride.
everyone starts somewhere.
I mean, right now
We're literally, we are in Julia's barbecue hut in our garden, but this is actually
essentially a shed.
It's all very full circle. We used to have sleepovers in here, and if you can see our setup, which we'll probably post
To the Instagram, which is at the 09 Chatline, by the way.
We'll show you, because it's very cute, actually.
Yeah, we've had some of our deepest conversations in here, so I feel like it is quite a full circle moment. I'm looking around thinking,
if these walls could talk.
if these wooden walls could talk.
I think something that holds a lot of Scottish people back, and it's a shame, because there are really genuinely talented people out there who feel too embarrassed to
Start a business,
Yeah.
do a podcast, maybe you're a songwriter, like
even posting a video of them without their face in it, like playing the guitar or something like that. Their first immediate thought, because genuinely my first thought when we spoke about starting this podcast, and we've been out of school for 6 years, the first people that I thought about commenting on this or listening to it was people from school. And
that is just, when you like put it like that, it's honestly delusional, because the fact that we're not even in that circle anymore.
we've literally been as long out of it as we were in it. And it just shows you what an impact it has. When I was in school, and it's still to this day, I am a huge Michael Jackson fan. I absolutely adore Michael Jackson.
We can do an episode on that.
We can do a whole episode on that, because my life has changed because of it. I was never shy about it, and oh my god, I was slaughtered. But funnily enough, if I was a Rangers obsessed or Celtic obsessed girl, well, actually no, because if you were a girl you'd probably be slaughtered for that anyway. And what I mean by that is, every time there's an Old Firm game when Rangers and Celtic play each other, when you go on Twitter, there's tweets like, oh, here come all the girls pretending to know what they're talking about, pretending to love football to impress boys. But there are
anything normal in Glasgow, so essentially anyone that's not from here, football is the biggest like part of the city, I would say. It's basically everyone's hobby. And the two biggest teams are, you know, city rivalry. But to have a passion about that is fine. And that is never looked down on or never ridiculed or anything like that. But the example you said, as soon as you're a Michael Jackson fan, you were absolutely ripped to shreds.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about it is doesn't hurt or bother anybody. People tried to really embarrass me for it. I started, now this was 2014, maybe even 2013, I want to say. So I was about 15, 16, and I started a Michael Jackson Instagram account because I didn't have any friends who were like Michael Jackson fans. And so it's not very common where we are. And do you know what? See, even if people probably were, they wouldn't tell you because they'd be scared. So I started an Instagram page to meet more people. And I'm so glad that I did that because, as I said, I now have loads of friends from all over the world because of it. One of my best friends I met through that Instagram page. And it wasn't even just online. I started to meet people. I started to go to events in London. And I have a friend group that I met solely from going to these events who are now my best friends. We talk every day. We all live in different cities, but we meet whenever we can. But now I can't imagine life without these people. And it's so sad to think that if I had let what people had said get to me, I would not have them now.
Yeah.
We're going to aim to be easy listening, but I understand that we're not the easiest people in the world to listen to.
Our grating Glaswegian accents. Yeah. Well, we love podcasts in general. I mean, I listen to quite a few of the biggies. I love the Shameless podcast. Quite often listen to the Girls' Bathroom and another Glaswegian duo, Sister. Shout out to you.
Sister. I cannot thank Sister enough. See that Heartbreak Hotel episode, guys?
Oh.
If you've never listened to it, see, even if you've never went through a breakup.
Yeah.
That podcast.
I loved that as well. I've also, I was in an absolutely fine state and I listened to that and it did provide some nice condolence.
Yeah. Love Sister. Love Law of Attraction changed my life. I'm very big on manifesting.
We've actually got some...
We've got some crystals in our hand right now because we're nervous.
So nervous and needed something to hold.
But this is what I mean, like, even us, we're sitting in front of two microphones right now, we're looking at each other, and as soon as we turn this on to record, we were like, oh, I'm so embarrassed.
Literally when all we do 24/7 is just gab.
Yeah.
So why not record it? People are probably thinking, why have you recorded it? But if we can even provide help one person feel, I know everyone says this, but if we can help maybe one 16-year-old girl out there who's struggling feel a little bit more secure in her decisions, then that's enough for us.
Also, we do want to say though, it's not specifically for the girls, it's not specifically for the boys, we just want anybody to feel. I understand that it's probably mainly going to be girls who are listening to us.
I think each episode will vary, so if you're not interested in Michael Jackson, don't listen to the Michael Jackson episode. People will probably come for different things, but that really is our plan, to just do a bit of an overview of everything, and as we said, no topic is off limits. We'll be sharing some of our own experiences. Hopefully one day people will send in their experiences and we can just give our perspective on things.
I do absolutely love the idea of people sending in their wee dilemmas, or people sending in like situations where they might, just to get another perspective.
Yeah, exactly. But that said, we actually, although we're born a day apart, we've grown up in the same place, had relatively similar experiences, we actually do have quite different opinions a lot of the time. Yeah, we definitely don't always share the same viewpoint. I would say that by nature I'm quite an oversharer, and Julia humbles that. Different things make us tick, but really things do. I mean, and sometimes I'll say, Charlotte, you've wildly overreacted there. Sometimes she'll say to me, oh my god, you're wild, I would have never said that. Like,
Julia's, I think, to be honest, Julia's more on the nose. Julia's very like, Julia can be very blunt, and I am a bit more...
I would actually see, this is where you can't even put a pin on it, because you sometimes can be incredibly savage, and sometimes I would say this has really turned into a spill your guts.
I know,
but sometimes you are definitely, dare I say, angry. But that said, this is probably a load of shit to everyone else that's listening. Do you even care? I don't know. But what we're trying to say is we're no matter how close you are to someone, sometimes your best friend gives you an absolutely really different opinion and perspective. And
but that's actually, for me, I would so much rather that than have someone who agreed with me all the time, or have someone who was just like, oh yeah,
an enabler. Yeah, pure, oh no, you're not wrong. Well, I would never say that you were wrong. Actually,
to be honest, I'm a very big fan of defending public, correcting private. And I would never ever say to Julia in a public situation, like, nah, sit down. I would.
You always support, but give your spin.
Oh yeah.
We do therapeutic coffee walks,
and it's
regularly.
And it's a necessity,
an absolute necessity.
It really is. And sometimes I think, God, if you recorded that conversation, there's probably a lot of people who would be like, oh. Amongst
all the absolute natter. But yeah, we love to visit a local coffee shop. We went just before this podcast. That sounds like a German speaking sentence. We love to visit the local coffee shop. Okay, we love our local coffee shops. Clapping for the small businesses out there. This morning, Cher, what did you get?
Of course, iced vanilla latte is a classic.
Yeah, you don't deviate much from that.
No. Sometimes I jump into caramel. Sometimes if I'm at Starbucks, ice white mocha.
Speaking of mocha, this morning I asked the lovely friendly barista around the corner if he could make me an iced mocha, and he was kind of perplexed at the situation, and he ended up, bless his actual soul, he's so nice, he put some Nutella on the bottom of an iced caramel latte.
He is such a lovely guy.
He really always waves at us.
He's so nice
and is so chatty. Hopefully he's listening.
Yeah.
If you are.
Hi.
Those coffee walks are probably what is holding me back from getting good grades, because every day where I'm supposed to be studying, I end up just going walks for hours, but it's good mental clarity. Come back to the whole Scottish mentality of being embarrassed about absolutely everything. I mean, it goes further afield when you look at people who have these big dreams that are shot down by sometimes your closest people, your friends and your family. And actually, we saw a Steve Harvey video this morning.
Julia gets Steve Harvey and Dr. Phil mixed up.
Anyone else that does that, please reach out. They are wildly similar to me, and every time I see Steve Harvey, I think it's Dr. Phil.
I'm a lover of both. Like, I will spend hours on YouTube watching Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey. Just love them. Anyway.
I'm surprised you don't get them confused. But he said, what does he say again?
Basically what he's saying is, have you ever had an amazing idea or a dream that you've shown to someone who doesn't get it?
Yeah. He essentially says the quickest way to crush your dreams is to tell them to a small-minded person.
Yeah.
And he says that, have you ever come up with an idea or had a dream that you think, this is amazing, why have I never thought of this before? Essentially, God presents you with this idea, and as soon as you tell it to other people and they start to hum and haw and say, I don't really get it, I don't see it, and they shoot you down about it, they can't see it because the world hadn't presented them with that idea. They presented it to you. So,
and I'm a big believer in things are meant for you. I am a huge lover of signs, synchronicities, manifestation, spirituality. I love all things like that.
That was actually, this is a side note, the very first thing we came up with for this podcast was synchronicity.
Yes.
We find immense joy in
synchronicities,
noticing synchronicities.
Angel numbers, signs, everything, all the rest of it. Absolutely love it. That's a whole other episode. That really is.
Biggest interests.
But I really did find comfort. I saw a quote once that said, when you realise that there are no coincidences, only signs, your life will change. And that's 100% true. But there really is huge comfort in all those small things.
And honestly, they do really brighten your day.
They do. But yeah, back to what Julia was saying. Even I mentioned to very little people that we were going to start this.
I've actually told no one out with my boyfriend and my sisters and my mum.
I've mentioned to very little people that we were going to start this, and I've got to say, I was nervous And sometimes the reactions were like, oh, right.
Oh
like,
my God, stop.
It's very... Everything
we've said.
It's quite daunting, I've got to say. Like,
dare I say the quote, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's a little bit girl boss, but it resonates sometimes.
I think it definitely does. And I think as well, when you have a persistent thought that you can't ignore, I think the only way to sort of get it out of your system is to just try.
Yeah.
See if this goes nowhere, we've lost nothing.
Literally, if we never post this, if this never sees the air, we've not lost anything.
If this never sees the light of Spotify, we will never have lost anything.
But who knows?
Yeah,
who knows do brilliant things.
Who knows where it's cool.
Going back to like that Scottish mentality, I think as well, some of the things are so everyday. They're so mundane and so average. Like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, even when you bring it down to like a surface level, some of the things that people get called out for are just absolutely hysterical. Like,
we went to Twitter to find some examples of embarrassing things, and everyone was kind of calling it riddy culture, which is actually probably a good way to put it. So one of the tweets we found said, Glasgow riddy culture is a disease. I'm carrying a multi-pack of crisps home from the shop. Why am I mortified?
The way I resonate with that, honestly, like,
it's
so much sense.
Another one on the thread, for carrying a rug down the road when I first moved into my flat. Another one, not really a riddy, but my pal got called a mad Caramac by Annndd for wearing a beige coat on Duke Street.
Oh my God. Stop, I would be mortified.
Someone shouted, wee guy brought his own bags at me outside Tesco once.
Please keep those coming.
Got called a blue hat once. Was wearing a blue hat, to be fair.
That I can hear that one in my head for mad blue hat.
Was carrying a cooler bag once and some guy went, wow, that's a cool bag, wanted to die.
Cringing.
Another one, Glasgow riddy culture is no right. Why'd I get embarrassed waiting on a bus? It's so true though. This was my favourite one because I really struggle with this. The developers of all voice recognition software failed to take into account the effects of Glasgow riddy culture. Every time I say hey Siri or okay Google, I feel like the entire universe is calling me a prick.
Oh, that one is so funny, especially when it doesn't hear you, it doesn't pick you up, you need to say it again.
Another example, buying an umbrella when it rains instead of just getting soaked for no reason.
To be fair, I do that, so.
Another one, I love cycling but also get so embarrassed cycling.
Yeah. Oh, I really hope people resonate with this because honestly, like, it is so true.
But there were some people who were actually quite aware of it, and people saying riddy culture is the worst thing about Scotland. Why do people care so much what others do? Surely it's an illness.
It actually is bizarre to think that other places don't have that.
Another thing, Glasgow riddy culture is the worst thing about Glasgow. Quite a lot of tweets along that same vein. And then another person said, are we ever going to talk about how much West Central Scotland riddy culture holds people back from achieving what they actually want to achieve?
Literally us.
And another wee example that we found of this, so STV News did a wee story about an 82-year-old Glasgow man called Don Morton who picked up skateboarding as a hobby during lockdown. And he was interviewed about it and he said that he's found there's so many benefits from it to his health, and it was just generally something he got joy from. But he said a lot of people have found it really odd. And he said Glaswegians, instead of saying, how do you do that? They just say, why do you do that?
Yeah.
And it really just, I think it just hits the nail on the head with the whole thing.
That is so true. It's like ingrained in us to be like, why are they doing that?
Instead of someone being genuinely
interested
and wanting to know what makes you happy about that, it's why.
I guess that kind of includes everything we wanted to talk about in this episode 1. Something we thought would be nice to add on to the end of every episode is 3 current favourites.
So it's just, it doesn't really follow a theme. It's just going to be 3 current favourite anything, really.
Good way to appreciate daily life.
Yeah. So
you go first.
I'm going to start with my favourite series, which is Pam and Tommy on Disney Plus.
I've not watched it.
Absolutely love it. I really didn't know a lot about, well, obviously knew who Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee were, but I had no idea about how it came. It all happened before we were born. So, absolutely love it. What about you?
Favourites for me, I love the website Notion. It is, if for anyone that's not used it, it's like a digital, I want to say organiser, but you can literally do anything on it. So you can use it in like a work sense for like organising team tasks. That makes it sound so boring. But I use it for like monthly goals and monthly to-do lists, and it is so good at helping me keep organised while also being a little bit manifestation-y and helping me reach my goals. And you can like make everything really pretty colours and put emojis on. But
love that.
Essentially, it just probably takes more time than it needs to, but I find it very therapeutic.
Okay.
And lots of green ticks at the end of the month.
That would probably lead me on to a new favourite. Papier, I think that's how you say it. Papier.
Oh, the
stationery
notebooks.
brand.
Yeah.
Stationery brand. I don't know if they have any shops.
I hope they do. That'd be so nice.
I would love that. Honestly, Connie, my sister, got me a gratitude journal from Papier for Christmas. Oh my god, I love it. It's so gorgeous. I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything from Papier, but
the most beautiful notebooks. I actually ordered one for my friend recently. You can get them personalised as well. Don't know if you knew that.
Love that.
They've got literally any design for all different tastes and interests, and
it's not just like journals, it's notebooks, diaries. It's
planners.
Such a lovely stationery shop, and I love it. It's the Virgo in me. I just love a good stationery. So. Moving on.
Other favourites for me, Zendaya. I'll pick her as my favourite. Zendaya and Tom Holland, I love them together recently.
Cute.
I feel like they're the it couple right now, and they are both, short king, tall queen. We are.
Me.
I was going to say we're tall queens, but you'll probably say I'm not that tall. I'm just over 5'8", and you are?
I'm 5'10".
So I'm probably a mid-sized to tall queen, and you're a tall queen.
A tall queen.
So we love Zendaya for that representation. But she just...
I was looking absolutely nothing like Zendaya. We're like, oh, love her.
I saw someone on TikTok say Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, etc. are so... Kendall Jenner are so lucky that Zendaya decided not to go into modelling, because they would have had no chance compared to her. She just kills it every time. So yeah, her and Tom Holland, that's probably a current favourite right now.
Yeah.
All over my Explore page.
Probably current favourite book. Absolutely love Healing is the New High by Vex King. It's the second book that he's done. First was Good Vibes, Good Life.
Yeah, you sent me that. That was really sweet.
I love that book. But I'm going to say that I do prefer this one. This is more... For all you healers out there. It basically just teaches you new ways of thinking, new ways of dealing with your emotions, coping with things, and you don't have to be like really sad or really down to ever. That's always going to help you. And I think it's so refreshing, and you feel good after it. It's a great read for anyone who enjoys that sort of self-help books.
I'll borrow that from you. I'm looking at my nails. My third favourite will be Essay Mademoiselle.
Ooh!
That feels like honestly going back in time to when I remember your huge essay collection. But
I'm so sad about that. I don't still have that.
Yeah, probably be all crusty now.
It would be awful now.
I recently have stopped getting my nails done to save a bit of money, and I was getting Biab.
I really want to start Biab.
Oh, it's really good. You should. I really, really liked it. But it's quite expensive to upkeep. So I've had them off, and I've just been painting my natural nails, Essay Mademoiselle, and it is the perfect. I think what I see people talk about on TikTok a lot is OPI bubble bath, and it's really similar to that. It's like a really pale pink that makes your nails look like they've kind of not got anything on, but they look really nice. That's some good current favourites.
Hopefully this wasn't too overwhelming to listen to, because we kind of just started it, and we were like, right, if we don't start now, we're just going to keep talking about it. And the more we were talking about it, the more we were working
and
ourselves
then we were thinking
up.
we should have recorded that. So we just pressed record. Hopefully it wasn't too overbearing, but thank you so much for listening to episode 1.
I am so excited that this is finally done. If you've not given us a wee follow on Instagram, please do.
It's at the 09 Chatline.
I'm obviously Charlotte McLachlan on Instagram.
Julia Redshaw on Instagram. You can follow us on there.
If you want to follow our own accounts, then
You're
I'm not a religious poster. I don't post loads and loads, but
if you want a little bit more insight to
a face to a name.
No, stop that standard. But yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you guys.
See you in the next one.